Hello, my name is Stacy L. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm in a different setting today, so I'm trying to get this done before the wind picks up. I don't know how to use the little mechanism that absorbs the wind, so I do apologize. So I'll try to get this done before the wind picks up too much. Alright, so this video is a little different. You see I'm outside. I wanted a little different setting because I wanted your full attention on this video. What I'll be talking about today is my journey that I went through with my cancer. Well, I'm not claiming it's the cancer scare that I had. Okay, so I'm going to go over my symptoms, what I went through with my surgery, chemotherapy, side effects, anything. I'm going to try to put it all into this video. So this video will be kind of long, so just giving you a heads up. And if there's something that you'd like to listen to or want more information, keep watching. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and start, and I'm just going to be candid. I'm just going to talk like you're sitting in front of me, okay? So I'm not trying to be professional or making sure everything's okay. I'm just going to sit and talk to you like you're sitting in front of me. All right, so what I went through, let me start with, it started in April of 2020, right around Easter. I did not make the traditional Easter meal, and I'll get into that in another video. But anyway, what I made for Easter was some enchiladas. And excuse any dog barking, bird chirping, wind blowing, we're just doing this today. So I made some enchiladas, and that evening I was feeling kind of weird in my stomach. Stomach was hurting a little bit. So I just chalked it up as just having a little stomach ache, stomach upset a little bit. I took some Pepto-Bismol and I was okay the next morning, so I thought. And we were on the pandemic. I was not working at this time. Thank God I wasn't working at this time. And I'll get into as to why. Well, the COVID, of course, but I'll let you know as to why I was so happy that I was not working. Okay, so fast forward to Mother's Day. The week before Mother's Day, my family came up from California. My son, his wife, and kids surprised me, came up from California, had such a lovely time. All right, I think they were with me for about maybe 2 nights, 3 days, 2 nights. Good time. Ate good food, had a wonderful time. That evening or the next evening, I went to bed, and again, I wasn't feeling well. My stomach was hurting, didn't know why, and it was not like the stomach right here or your actual stomach. It was deeper inside. Okay, so I was in the bed early, talked to my daughter-in-law, and just let her know I wasn't feeling that well, and I'd talk to her later. And it was either that night or the night after that I had to wake up in the middle of the night and go have a bowel movement. Heads up, this video is not for kids, okay? There'll be some kind of graphic pictures because I'm going to try to illustrate everything that I went through with pictures of myself, everything that I went through. So I got up to have a bowel movement in the middle of the night. It was about maybe 12:31, and that's not normal. So did that, but it was back to back. 12:30 p.m., 2 o'clock a.m., bowel movement, 3 o'clock a.m. bowel movement, 4 o'clock bowel movement, and they were full-on bowel movements. Okay, so I knew that wasn't normal, but I was just like, what's going on? Is my stomach upset? What's the deal? All right, so that happened about maybe 2 or 3 times. The very next day after the BM, I had diarrhea. All right, but it was like maybe 3 or 4 times during that first day. Second day, about 5 or 6 times. Third day, 7 or 8 times. Next day, I counted, I went to the bathroom 15 times. And now this is why I was glad that we weren't on that we were home from the pandemic due to COVID, because now I'm a flight attendant and I can't imagine being in the airplane having diarrhea and having to go to the lavatory 15 times. It wouldn't have been pretty for me. It wouldn't have been pretty for anyone, because I had to, on some occasions, get up and run to the bathroom, you know, while at home. And the diarrhea had gotten to the point where I had released everything and my body was just going through the motions of trying to release. Nothing else was releasing. So I made an appointment to go see my doctor, went to go see her. She said it sounds like irritable bowel syndrome. Irritable bowel syndrome. So, I'm sorry, let me put that down. So, she said, in the meantime, take some probiotics and then we'll set you up for a colonoscopy. Immediately left there, went directly to buy some probiotic gummies, and they worked. They took away the symptoms that I was feeling of having to have a bowel movement all the time, no more diarrhea. I felt better. I felt good. And knowing me, had this been just a regular day, no pandemic, I would have 100% canceled that colonoscopy appointment because I felt better. But thank God that I did not cancel my colonoscopy. And I'm going to try not to get emotional here, but if I do, I'm sorry, I can't help it. So now all of the bowel movement and diarrhea and the BMs, I can laugh about it now, but there was no laughing matter during the time. So I went to have my colonoscopy mid-July of 2020. So I go in there, my husband at the time, that's another book, that'll be in my book. He took me to have my colonoscopy. So when I wake up from the colonoscopy, the nurse is at my bedside. And I look at her and I'm still kind of in a funk, in a twilight. I look at her, she looked at me and then she looked down at her chart and then she looked back at me and said, "Stacy, we found a mass and that mass appears to be malignant." And I'm still waking up from being put under from, the anesthesia. And I look at her and I just turn my head and I just start crying because I wasn't expecting that at all. I was not expecting her to say that they found a tumor. Okay. So then the doctor comes in and he's kind of frantic. He says to me, "Who are you here with?" And "Who are you here with?" He's almost in a panic. And I'm like, "I'm with my husband. We're going to get him in here. We have his number. Did you leave his number at the desk?" "Yes." "We're going to call him to get him in here now." So they call him in. I'm sitting in the office now, in his office, and I'm kind of in shock. I'm so sorry about that motorcycle. But we're sitting outside. It's a beautiful day. It's not often that we can sit outside in Vegas during the summer, so I'm here for that. Yes. Okay, so my husband comes in, and I tell him, I said, "They're telling me I have cancer." And we're both sitting there kind of in shock. The doctor comes in and says to me, "Okay, so now what we need to do immediately, we're going to refer you to a surgeon, okay? This is what we found." And I'm going to post pictures. There'll be pictures of everything, almost everything that I went through, okay? Again, this is kind of a long video. All right, so he said, "We found the mass, which appears to be cancerous, cancer surrounding, internal hemorrhoids, polyps, internal intestinal blockage. My intestines were closing up, and something else. Cancer, tumor, hemorrhoids, internal, polyps, and internal blockage." That's 5 things that were going on in my colon. the good part about it, that it was all in one localized area. All of that was going on in one localized area, okay? And I thank God for that. So the doctor told me that the blockage was so severe that he couldn't even get past that area to finish the colonoscopy, to go through the rest of my colon to see if there's anything else going on. So anyway, you know, he refers me to the surgeon. Now at this time he's telling me that it appears to be cancer because the pathology report has not come back yet. So anyway, I go home, we go home, I'm still in shock, but I'm like, I don't accept that, I rebuke that, not me. But I still move forward, of course, with what I need to do. I go see my surgeon, or I make an appointment to go see him. I have my follow-up appointment with my gastrologist who did the colonoscopy. So I go see him about a week and a half later. And I go into the office and, you know, he's showing me this chart, and I'll put a picture somewhere. He's showing me this chart of a colon and where my issue is within that colon. He hands me paperwork and says, he says, pay attention to letter B. This is the pathology report. There's A, B, C, and I think D. He said, make sure you pay attention to letter B. I look at letter B and it's blah, 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 carcinoma. It's like blah, 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 carcinoma. And it did not register to me at the time, carcinoma, cancer. Yes, I know that that means cancer, but it did not register to me because he's moving kind of fast. You know, he's looking at the chart of the colon and he's like, this is where the issue is, and do you want to start your therapy before surgery or after? Excuse me, what now? What? Therapy? And I look back at the chart, at the report, and he kind of stepped back and kind of let me look at, register what was really going on. Blah, 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 carcinoma. I'll print it out here. I'll have it somewhere on the screen, carcinoma. And I looked at him and I said, are you trying to tell me I have cancer? Yes. This is a candid video, okay? So I'm going to try to control my emotions. And I start crying. Immediately I started crying. And he looks at me and he said, stop it. He said, you have to fight now. And you can't cry all the time. But I had to get that out. So cancer. At that point, we didn't know if it, what stage the cancer was in, because we don't know that until the surgery, okay? So I go home and tell my husband what the deal is, and I'm still in shock. He's not telling me this. This is not happening to me. So fast forward a little bit, that's in July. I go see the surgeon, Dr. Shu, and so we set up the surgery. Surgery was August 8th of 2020. I have my surgery. I wake up from surgery in excruciating pain. I literally wake up from my surgery screaming bloody murder, because I had pain all up and down my spine. My back felt like someone had taken it and just twisted it and tied it in knots like a pretzel. Nurses come running in there and, oh my God, Stacy, what's wrong? Are you okay? And I tell them, my back, why is my back hurting like this? So, Stacy, would you like anything for the pain? Yes. So they give me morphine, knock me right back out, okay? Anyway, I wake up again later on and my back is still in excruciating pain. Morphine knocked me back out. Morphine became my friend during this time. And yes, I was aware that it's addictive, and I made sure that that didn't happen to me. So anyway, a couple of days later, I'm discharged from the hospital. And for the life of me, I cannot find my pathology report because I ended up moving. This happened in July and August, September, October, I had moved in with my mother. And I'm going to save that for the book that I'm writing. Okay, so just know when I say husband and I ended up moving with my mother, that'll tell you right there. But, so now I've had my surgery. Fast forward to starting my chemo, and I felt good after my surgery. Before we get to the chemo portion, after my surgery, I felt like I had not felt in years. I felt so good. My body was like, "Oh, thank you for getting that crap out of me." Because one symptom I did feel prior to any of the other symptoms was fatigue. I was always tired. And I did not know why. I chalked it up to, I guess this is how it feels to grow older. You know, as I'm getting older, I'm like, why am I so tired? But, you know, I see people over here, you know, years older than me. They have all this energy and they're just, you know, walking and jumping out of planes and, you know, scuba diving. They're doing the most. And I'm sitting over here like, oh, I could go to sleep right here, right now. But, you know, that was one of the symptoms that I was having and did not realize it. It was part of the tumor pulling all of the energy out of my body. That's what it does. I was vitamin D deficient as well. All right, now moving on to the chemotherapy. Again, the title of this video is The Good, the Bad, and Ugly of My Cancer Journey. All right, so I had my first chemotherapy session, I think it was September 13th or 14th, right around there, of 2020, last year. Okay. That went well. I went to sleep during my first session. It took like 4 hours. And before that, they had a port, and I'll insert some pictures. There was a port put into my chest so that they can utilize this port whenever I had my chemotherapy. And this port had like a long vein, and that vein entered directly into my aorta, right directly into my heart. So chemotherapy went directly into this port, directly into my heart. My heart pumped it to the rest of my body. Okay, so that lasted for 4 hours on the first session. And then at the end of that session, they give you a pump. That pump pumps for 46 hours, pumping chemotherapy into your system. Constant flow of chemotherapy chemicals. And it was fine, you know. I learned how to sleep with this port, and you'll see the picture with this mechanism and all of this stuff attached to me. Okay, now let's take that let's take the pump off in 46 hours. Now, mind you, they told me don't drink anything cold, ice cold out the like refrigerator, no ice water. Don't touch anything cold, because if you do, it's going to feel like you're swallowing glass, and you know the cold is going to burn. It's going to feel like it's burning you. So I made sure that I did not drink anything cold, okay, because I did not want that sensation. I've had strep throat when I was a little girl, had it twice, and I know what it feels like to swallow, and it feels like glass. A wind gust is coming through. So now let's talk about side effects. What the comedian what the comedian Samora say? The side effects. And there's so many. But with me, my side effects were severe to the extreme, to the 10th power. All right, so the first side effect, I had extreme constipation. It's all up in here, okay? And the thing about They also give you steroids with your chemotherapy. So the steroids make you hungry and eat and eat. You want to eat, you want to eat. So I got home while I had that the pump on, and I'm just eating, just gobbling it down. Take the pump off, go home. A day later, extreme constipation. I mean, when I tell you extreme, think about having a bowel movement. And when I say I'm not exaggerating, I am not exaggerating on the feeling of this. To have a bowel movement feel like a brick with razors attached and alcohol coming behind it. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. I had to go to the emergency room 3 times in 2 days because I was having an issue, major issue. It wouldn't come down. Everything was just balled up, okay? And when it would come down, whatever was there, bricks, razors, and alcohol. In the bathroom screaming bloody murder. I'm surprised police did come knocking on the door like, what's going on up in here? Because, yeah, your neighbors are complaining about screaming. 3 times in the emergency room. Yeah. Okay, so now what I started doing was, okay, crapshoot, next time you have your chemotherapy, what's going to happen next? Okay? The next time, which was supposed to be 2 weeks later, every other week I was supposed to have my chemotherapy, ended up being like every 3 weeks or longer because my body was rejecting, because my body was rejecting the chemotherapy because the side effects were just so extreme, my body couldn't handle it. So after that first round of chemo, I said I wasn't doing this no more. I'm not doing this. Sorry about the noise. I said, I'm not doing this. Absolutely not. Will I do this to myself again? And I said, I'm going to fight this myself. I'm going to get rid of this cancer myself. I'm going to take my detox baths and do my research, and I'm going to go see holistic doctors and all that. But I had to come to my senses, and even some people will say, well, you should have done that anyway. I had to do what I had to do for myself, All right, so fast forward to the second round of chemo, which was 3 weeks later, because I had canceled my second session. I wasn't going to do it anymore. But anyway, I made my appointment for my second session. Second session was the side effect that I was having for my second session is called neuropathy. But my neuropathy was to the 10th power and even higher than that, because my skin started to die. My skin started to darken, and my hands, the palm of my hands and even the back of my hands, you'll see some pictures, and my feet started to peel like a snake. The skin on the outside just started to die, and you'll see I could stick my finger right up in there and just peel it off, and that part didn't hurt. The peeling didn't hurt, but what did hurt is when I tried to walk. I couldn't barely walk. I had to hold on to the walls, and I'm laughing about it now, but it was no fun. It wasn't fun. It felt like I was walking on glass. The pain that I suffered was so extreme. And I laugh now, but I don't wish that on anyone, what I went through. I was in so much pain, extreme pain. Okay, so the next time around. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that your food tastes like SHIT. Your food, first of all, your appetite is out the door. You have to force yourself to eat. Literally, you have to force yourself to eat. And when you do eat, it tastes like the dirt. You see a little dirt back there and rocks. Yeah, that's what it tastes like. And yeah, it tastes worse than that. And the roof of my mouth was like sandpaper, but not the fine sandpaper. It was like the really grouty sandpaper. Horrible. I remember one day I said, I'm going to make myself breakfast burrito. I hooked that burrito up, had everything. Sausage, spinach, just everything loaded with my salsa on top and the cheese. Let me tell you something. I took one bite of that burrito and spit that right out and sat down and just cried like a baby because I could not. I tasted it, but it tasted like that. It tasted worse than that. So moving forward, so that's the extreme constipation that sent me to the emergency room 3 times. Oh, I forgot to tell you, emergency room suppositories did not help it come down. Miralax did not help it loosen and come down. Docalax did not help it loosen and come down. I said this was going to be graphic. The 3rd time I went to the emergency room, okay, they said, we're going to try to manually disimpact this. That did not work because everything was so far up that the doctor couldn't reach it. So I just had to go home. And my mother was with me, thank God for her. She's an angel, thank God for my mama, because she was there through every step of the way with me. I had to just go home, and I was in tears. Oh, and by the way, my tears hurt. Everything that secreted from my body, every orifice of my body hurt. The wax in my ears developing hurt. The tears welling up in my eyes hurt. My nose running felt like the alcohol that was coming with the bricks and the razors. My urine felt like thick syrup. You know, when you take a first bite of something, they call it the first bite syndrome, and that saliva wells up in your mouth. Oh my God, it felt like somebody was stabbing me on both sides of my neck. It hurt so bad it brought me to tears, and then the tears hurt welling up in my eyes. I wish this on no one. The pain, I'm joking now, but the pain was so severe, and we're not even done. So now, where did I leave off? Okay, so the neuropathy, you see the pictures of neuropathy. Okay, so the next time around was, I think, early November. And by this time, my oncologist, I had to stop recording because they were playing music over there and I didn't want to get dinged for the copyright. Okay, so I think I left off at the neuropathy. I couldn't walk because it felt like glass, and the emergency room. Okay, so the next thing I went through, during this time too, I was extremely weak. I had no strength to do anything really. Every time I had a session of chemotherapy, it just literally took all of my energy from me. Yeah. So the next time, this is where I left off. The doctor, my oncologist, was like, okay, we have to make some changes. So he switched the type of chemotherapy that I was on, because we initially started with the highest dosage that they could give me. Now, mind you, this was for cleanup. That's what they call it, a cleanup chemo, because they had gotten all the cancer out with the surgery. However, the cleanup is for any molecules or anything that's lingering that can't be detected. All right, so the doctor said, let's change your medicine, okay? And I have to research. I'll have the information, the type of chemotherapy that I was taking listed somewhere here on the screen. Okay, so we switched up the medication and we brought the dosage down some. All right, so the next thing that happened, my hand started to peel again. All right, the neuropathy kicked in, and on my feet, and you've seen the pictures of that, and I just couldn't eat. It was horrible. I was just in constant pain for about 4.5 months, but some pain was much more extreme. All right, so now, because that wasn't working for me either, because my body was just like pushing it out, my nose constantly ran. I always blow my nose, and my eyes were weeping constant, and it never stopped. And I had to tell people, I promise you I'm not crying. I can't help it. This is from the chemotherapy excreting my body, leaving my body. And it came out of everywhere that it could come out. It came out. Okay, so the next thing, the next thing after that, so the doctor said, okay, let's try giving you oral chemotherapy, the pills. Okay, what harm can that do? And it's the lowest dosage that they could possibly give me. It's the lowest dosage. He said, this is what we would give an elderly person who's very fragile. Okay, let's try it. 4 pills, I have to take 8 pills a day, 4 in the morning, 4 in the evening. The first day I took 4 that morning, 4 in the evening. The next day I took 4 in the morning. That was it. Emergency room. Mind you, I went to the emergency room 7 times in 4 months. One time they hospitalized me because my potassium level was extremely low, and they said you could have a cardiac arrest if your cardiac is extremely low. We need to keep you. You're staying tonight. And also during that trip to the emergency room, I was so dehydrated. And you try to drink the water, to keep yourself hydrated, but that doesn't work. Those chemicals deplete you of any hydration. I remember once I was eating something, I think it was a salad or something, I don't remember. And I'm chewing and waiting for the food to break down, and no, that food did not break down. The saliva breaks your food down so that you can swallow and digest. That was not happening. The food was just moving around, rolling around in my mouth. It wasn't breaking down. That's how dehydrated I was. And that was the night they kept me overnight in the hospital. So, yeah, the potassium level was so low. All right, so back to the pill chemotherapy. The pill form can cause little ulcers in your mouth. You see the pictures? I think that was the worst pain ever. That was the worst pain ever, because water, I tried to drink water and it was burned. You can't swallow it. My esophagus was closing up. And I almost choked to death. My puppy was running around panicking because I was trying not to choke. Little bitty pill, no bigger than the very tip of my fingernail, got stuck right here. I took the water, swallowed the pill, tried to swallow the pill, it got stuck. And it just rolled this way and then rolled the other way. And I'm trying not to really choke on this. I'm trying to keep my air passageway open, and it's not moving. And now my dog panicked, I'm running to the bathroom, I'm trying to make myself throw up or whatever. I couldn't do anything. And no sooner than I was about to bust into my mother's room and for help, it started to dissolve and went down. And I said to myself, Lord, the cancer didn't take me, but I'm not going to sit here and choke to death. We're not doing that today. No. It was that serious. So you see the ulcers in my mouth, and with that, 5 days in the bed, nothing went into my mouth but morphine. That's how severe the pain was for that. It was absolutely horrible. And you see my skin is still not back to its normal color. I'm still, a little darker than normal. And that could be partially because it's summer, yes, but I could still see that partially is from it's the chemicals as well. So I couldn't go to the dentist during any of this time because the inside of my mouth, to try to brush your teeth with a normal toothbrush, you have to get the softest toothbrush, the baby toothbrush, because that toothbrush will tear the inside of your mouth up and it will burn. You have to get toothpaste with no alcohol, mouthwash with no alcohol. You have to gently brush your teeth, and yeah, so we're making appointments for that too. I'm slowly but surely getting back on track with things, and you know, let me see what else. It was just a crapshoot. You know, every time I went to have chemotherapy, it was a crapshoot as to what was next. And on top of that, I was dealing with the divorce. So, like I said, I'm saving all that. That's a whole nother story in itself. But, yeah. And I'm telling you all this because I want to be open. I want to be candid. You know, had I gotten this colonoscopy maybe 2 or 3 years earlier when I was supposed to have had it done, maybe I would not have gone through everything I went through. But because I did, I'm here to tell you, don't procrastinate like I did. You know, that was life or death. When death stares you right here, death is right here and says, what you gonna do? Because I'm right here, and you gotta fight, and let's see who's gonna win this fight. So I'm telling you, I'm just sharing with you because I care. If I didn't care, I'd go on about my business. I'd go on about my business and live my life. But I don't want what I went through to be in vain. I had no idea I was going to make a YouTube channel. I had a YouTube channel for years. I made one video about 10 years ago, but it was about nothing. It was just, you know, oh, let me see what this is about. Nothing. And so I think even YouTube took it down because I wasn't utilizing my page other than just viewing other people's channels. But here I am asking you to share this video. Please share this information. It could mean life or death for someone. Someone needs to hear this. And it could be the one person, 2 people, 3 people that you share it with, or whoever they share it with, to say, you know what, let me go ahead and get my colonoscopy screening, because it is the number 2 killer. I saw some information a couple of days ago. It's the number 2 killer of men and women in the United States. And I thank God that I'm still here. Chadwick Boseman died of stage 3C colon cancer, the same diagnosis I had. And when he passed, I did not have the stage that I was in yet. It was still early. I didn't know anything other than I had cancer. And I cried myself to sleep that night. Yes, I did. So again, this is just to, you know, bring awareness. Go get it done. They put you in a little twilight sleep and you wake up and it's over, you know. Get it done early. Now they're saying 45. I'm going to leave a couple of links in the description box, you know, for you to get the statistics. I'm not just getting this stuff off the top of the head. I've gotten statistics on this deadly thing called colon cancer. The pictures of my actual the tumor and everything that was going on, it's packed away in boxes, and I don't want to pull everything out to find that. So what I'm going to do is post pictures of similar tumors and colon cancer that overtook part of my colon. Also, the doctor told me, had the area where I was having issue been a little bit lower in my colon, guess who would have had to have a colostomy bag? I did not have to have one, not even temporarily. Big ups to my surgeon, Dr. Shu. If you see this, big ups to you. Yes. So, you know, my whole team, awesome. My whole medical team. If you have any questions, if you want to know more information, if there's something I left out that you wanted to know, send me an email. It's Stacy, STACIELLE @gmail.com. I think that's it. I think that's it. If not, I'll put it across the screen here, okay? Stacy L. Or leave a comment and I'll definitely get back to you. Stay healthy, be blessed, and thank you again for watching.